Hi, and welcome to Hobby News Daily Morning Minute for Tuesday, May 23rd. I'm Danny Black, and I'm going to be guest hosting today. We are recording late on the 22nd in a special episode because news came out today, and I have confirmed with sources at PWCC that Fanatics is acquiring PWCC. So this is big news in the hobby. PWCC, which was on the eBay platform, left in 2021 under some circumstances relating to possibly some shill bidding. At the time, they were estimated to be earning $250 million a year on eBay when they left. Fanatics has been on a series of acquisitions within the hobby, including Tops, which was official at the start of 2022, and as far as licenses for cards, distribution, and many other things, Fanatics continues to expand their reach. With the acquisition of PWCC, Fanatics will immediately get access and own a vault marketplace, an online auction, and this gives them a head start into what types of businesses they would probably ultimately head into anyway. To join me tonight and talk about what this means for the hobby is Hobby News Daily's Vice President and, as I say, consigliere, John Newman. John, how you doing?
Good man, big news, yeah, for sure. And I just want to reiterate, you got it from a PWCC employee, so it's internal. It's confirmed that literally, as we're doing this now, they're actually having their own internal meetings with Fanatics brass and their own brass to probably shake out how this is all going to transition over the coming months and potential year.
Now, one of the things is I think in the hobby right now, if you look at the landscape, there are only so many online auction marketplaces, and it's a very competitive space. Golden, from an auction standpoint, Heritage for online, but for the actual that online access to compete against an eBay, there's not a lot of platforms. So I guess Fanatics had the choice to either go out on their own or go through acquisition, and in the kind of their history and their modus operandi has been always to acquire and build from there. Does this seem to kind of follow their blueprint?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I think this is really what they try to do. Danny is by someone who's already doing it. Obviously, they're going to put their own stamp on it at some point or another, but they've already got sort of the internal bones in place to kind of hit the ground running, as the cliche goes. And this has been the Fanatics way and motto, and that in their defense, I don't want to sound like I'm defending them, but from the get go, when Rubin was on, Michael Rubin, their CEO, was on financial networks and shows, he didn't mince words. He says he wants to really take over the industry, and they're putting their money where their mouth is, literally. And we heard recently they tried to acquire Panini. Matter of fact, some called it a done deal. That wasn't exactly the case, as Panini is still standing by themselves. But for
As as of the time of recording, anyway.
yeah, stay tuned tomorrow for our next breaking news episode. But so this is the direction they're going. They wanted, they just launched their own live platform on their own channel and network, and now they've got a vault. And the vault's not going to be moved. It's just changing ownership. So that Oregon and the no state sales tax, that all stays. The rules don't change just because there's a new owner of the business. That's a state. Those are state laws. So it's listen, whether you like the move or not, whether you like Fanatics or not, it's a smart play by them.
Without a doubt. If we're moving into hypotheticals, I think one of the things that you alluded to is just their reach. So they're in a situation now where you can break on their platform get cards that they're making and send to their own vault, and buy and sell them, through their own vault. So they're really starting to get the whole ecosystem under one roof.
Yeah, I've said this when the whole Tops acquisition came down. I'm not a fan of monopolies or close to monopolies. The little guy's going to take that on the chin. I consider myself the little guy, like many, in this scenario. And it's one of those deals. If you make money in the hobby, then that's all you care about. You could probably care less. But when it's going to maybe cost you more, it's going to ruffle some feathers. I just don't like that one company's going to own that much market share. They're not doing it anything illegal, but history has told us. If you look at history and all kind of economics and business, this is 75% of the time this is usually the consumer takes it right in the solar plexus.
Well, if I was thinking who the losers would be from a hobby standpoint, and I think eBay actually is a big loser here, because this might be the first marketplace the Fanatics could build up to even challenge eBay, in scope of cards available, to any sort of level. So I would say, as far as dollars being shifted, eBay could be the biggest loser from a hobby standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. I mean, that they're competitors. There was some bad blood there when eBay kicked PWCC off their platform, and like you mentioned in the open, accused them of shill bidding. I had Jesse Craig on my show kind of very soon after that, and I'm like, I remember telling him, like, if that's not the case, I'd be countersuing eBay. That's my name. You're, dragging through the mud. We know nothing came of that legally. PWCC just did their own thing and started doing it. Let's be honest, very well. And Fanatics probably took notice of that and said, "Listen, this is what we want anyway." They've already done a lot of the legwork here. We just got to come up with a figure and buy him. And for Brett Hudgens, the CEO of PWCC, who's been, on many of people's dartboard as sort of the face of some of the allegations from 2017, 2018, and 2019. This is kind of the how he rides off in the sunset carrying money bags. And I've been told from someone who works in PWCC that once he sells, he doesn't want anything to do with the hobby. This is his cue to turn it, take the money and do something else. Maybe another type of business, but not in the sports card and collectible space. So I think this signifies is the end of Brett Hudgens and being the target of some allegations. I think those will go away as far as he's concerned, because he's just not going to be in the hobby anymore. He's going to take that big payday. And I was told that he turned down some sales, not from Fanatic. Well, I don't know from who, but he turned down some offers that were made to buy PWCC prior. So whether those were previous Fanatics offers that they've eventually upped, I can't comment on. But he has turned down $1 million deals, and so now he gets what he wants. He gets a payday, and he gets to leave and not face that music or that heat, which has died down, but now he doesn't have any at all.
Well, certainly, I think over the next 24, 48 hours, and then probably straight through the national, I think the news on this is going to continue to come out and continue to be, let's face it, significant to the hobby, and the effects, are going to impact buyers and sellers, I think, on all platforms, at card shows, And it'll be interesting to see if Golden counters, if eBay counters, if the fee structures change at all on any of the platforms, or continue integration, or if there's more mergers within the hobby. Any final thoughts before we end our morning minute here?
Well, it's funny. I just took my cards out of that platform. It was almost like I knew. I think what you just said, right, Danny? It's going to be interesting to see how fast Fanatics really starts to put their fingerprints on the acquisition of PWCC. What will change? Will rates go up for sellers? Will buyers, commissions or the buyer's fee on these auctions go up? I hope not, because they're pretty steep in my opinion now. And some of those decisions will obviously affect the long term viability. Will they keep the PWCC name or put their own name or change it completely, to something else under the Fanatics umbrella? My guess is they will change the name with some of the negative connotation that PWCC has had in the past years, as we have already discussed. So I think the PWCC name probably will go away. But what's the timetable for all this is the other question. Will it be PWCC for the rest of 2023 and then rebranding? When does all this stuff happen? What is that stuff going to be when it happens? What like you said? What do other people competing in that space? How do they respond? Do they just say, "Hey, it is what it is. It's just the same company with a new ownership, and it's not a big deal. It is a big deal, but it doesn't change what we do. We're going to do what we've already been doing prior to this acquisition." And so many, we've had really a quiet news cycle recently in the hobby. It's kind of sort of all the silt has settled to the bottom, and now this is just kicking it back up. And you know how it goes as we lead. We're almost just 2 months from the national. This There'll be other stuff that comes up on the lead up to that.
Well, I think you and I know of a couple things certainly in the pipeline coming down that we're going to be able to share, and leading up to the national, and that'll be exciting to talk about. Um, I'd like to thank you for jumping on late night here on Monday night, and for those of you watching this, please excuse the bleary eyes, but we felt it was important to get this out. And for those of you listening in the morning, we are wide awake and look fantastic. So keep collecting. Thank you, everybody.
See you later.
Thanks, John.